During the 3 days that separated Jesus from the cross and the empty tomb, where did he go? The majority of people saw those 3 days as a transitional period between Friday's tragedy and the miracle of the spiritual layer that lies underlying all we can see and touch. The invisible realm was the greatest spectacular, the most significant, and the most intimate series of events in all of creation's history. And I'm going to take you through every second of it. I'm going to show you this. 3 things, each of which builds upon the previous. Each one is even more astounding than the previous one. Additionally, all 3 are responses to the same query. Specifically, where did Jesus travel during those 3 days? He had to get there, but why? And during that time, what did he really do? Where did he go first? On Friday afternoon, Jesus died on that cross. His soul went elsewhere, but his body was trapped in a tomb and the creed of the apostles. The precise location is revealed by the prayer that every Catholic has said since baptism. 4 words are present, buried within it, that explain Jesus' first post-mortem location. One of the most explosive and liberating truths in Christian history can be found in only 4 words. You've spoken them hundreds of times. It's most likely that you've never comprehended what they were really saying regarding where Jesus' journey and the appearance of the location he descended into. Not because no one informed you, since no one showed you the map. The world of Abraham, Moses, David, and Jesus himself in antiquity had a rich, colorful, particular knowledge of the appearance, composition, and purpose of the world of the dead. Modern Christianity has virtually completely lost that map. And those 4 words are just words without it. You will have that map by the time this video ends. You'll be aware of Jesus' precise whereabouts, went. And you won't pronounce those 4 words in the same manner ever again. Secondly, why did he end up in hell? Almost no one ever provides a direct response to this question. Why did Jesus, the divine Son whose agony was ended on the cross, go into the afterlife at all? He went there, but why? What was the cause? Beneath that question lies a deeper one that will challenge your preconceived notions about the cross. Why was the door to heaven locked? First of all, why couldn't Abraham, God's buddy and father of faith, go to heaven after his death? How come Moses couldn't? How come David couldn't? Why was it impossible for any human being, regardless of their righteousness, faithfulness, or God's love, to enter the gates of heaven? Up to one particular, unrepeatable historical moment. What was the lock on the door? And why was the cross the only key that could unlock it? Because the door had been locked since the Garden of Eden, Jesus ended up in hell. As the only person in all of creation who had just paid the price to unlock it, he headed there. The crucifixion will no longer seem tragic to you once you have a complete understanding of this. It will appear to be the most significant unlocking in all of eternity. Thirdly, his actions during that time. Until you see it in its entirety, it becomes nearly impossible to accept at this point. Nearly everyone who has ever read Matthew's 27th chapter has silently ignored 2 verses. The majority of people believe they are symbolic. The majority of individuals don't fully get what they genuinely describe and instead file them away. These 2 passages document the obvious, tangible, publicly observed fallout from what Jesus accomplished in those 3 days in the afterlife. Historians have never been able to adequately explain something so severe, so well documented in the streets of Jerusalem, and so indisputable. You will at last comprehend why a bunch of men cowering behind a locked door on Saturday were so terrified by Sunday. Once you see what those lyrics truly capture, those who would sooner die than cease discussing what they had seen. Faith was not the only thing that moved them. They were touched by something they'd personally seen among people they knew by name in their own city. Each of the 3 insights and 3 pledges addresses the video's title: what Jesus did, where he went, and why. Each one builds upon the previous one. I need to talk to you directly before we continue. If you are seeing this because a loved one passed away, if you find yourself dying in the still hours of the night, if you attend Sunday Mass every week and still feel as though you missed something, hold on till the final word, because death won't be able to control you by the end of this video. Not because of anything I thought of, but because you will at last fully comprehend what Jesus accomplished in those 3 days, and for whom he did it. That pledge stems directly from the contents of those 3 days. In this video, everything builds. Don't jump forward. Don't stop halfway through. You cannot afford to ignore the most crucial point I will make at the end. Before we begin, if this is the level of depth, click subscribe today to start receiving the scripted, honest material you've been craving. This is what we do here each and every week. Similar to this video, it instructs the algorithm to display this to the thousands of people who are now looking for it but are unsure of where to look. And share this immediately, since you already have a face or a name in mind. Someone who is grieving, someone with fear, someone who consistently attends Sunday Mass but yet feels like an outsider to the very narrative they consistently come to hear. It's a video for them. Don't forget to send it. Please leave a comment now. Tell me what you think about Christ's resurrection. In order to comprehend what transpired during those 3 days, you must first comprehend something that the Jewish community of the 1st century knew as common knowledge, and that modern Christianity has virtually forgotten. You must comprehend how the ancient world, that of Abraham, Moses, David, and even Jesus himself, perceived death, because the clean binary that most of us were raised with is drastically, shockingly different from the image they carried. Good or terrible, heaven or hell. That image is not taught in the scriptures, not in the words of Jesus, nor in the Old or New Testaments. The Greek term Sheol is derived from the Old Hebrew word for the afterlife, the language used by the early church and the New Testament. Hades was the name of that same domain, and this is something that most current Christians do not understand intuitively, but every Jew in the 1st century did. Sheol, Hades, was not just for evil people. Every individual soul that ever perished went there, holy and unholy, submissive and rebellious, righteous and wicked. This is well supported by the evidence. When Jacob, the patriarch, thought his son Joseph had been killed, he simply declared, "I will go down to Sheol." Jacob struggled with God and was called Israel, not mourning, "I will go to a place of punishment." Naturally, he anticipated visiting Sheol. David, the greatest monarch in Israel's history, the author of the Psalms, and a man regarded as being after God's own heart, frequently wrote about Sheol as his own soul's final destination. He cried out, "Do not abandon my soul to Sheol, do not send me to Sheol as punishment," in Psalm 16. He wrote with the knowledge that all souls go to Sheol. In one of the most eerie scenes in the entire Old Testament, King Saul visited the witch of Endor, who summoned the ghost of the deceased prophet Samuel. Samuel, the holy man and virtuous prophet, rose from Sheol. Here's where it gets really amazing, so stop. Were the evil and the righteous going through the same thing if they both fell into Sheol? No. At this point, the image Jesus created for his audience becomes something you won't soon forget. Because Sheol was split into 2 halves, 2 completely different experiences, and separated by a gulf so complete and unbreakable that no soul in human history had ever crossed it. In a tale found in Luke's 16th chapter, Jesus himself depicted this geography in exact, purposeful detail. Lazarus, a poor man, and a wealthy man both perish. Angels transport Lazarus to what the Jews refer to be Abraham's bosom, the place of covered rest, the Father's chest, and the waiting area for the righteous was known by the coziest, most sensitive term they could think of. Imagine a scared and worn-out child finally cradled against their father's bosom. That's the picture. The wealthy man becomes aware of the other side of that divide. Heat, suffering, torment, and no solace. From there he can see a gap that he is unable to fill. Lazarus and Abraham were sleeping beside him. He lets out a cry. He pleads. He begs that his surviving brothers receive a warning. Abraham responds with 8 words that are eternally significant.